Hello everyone, welcome back to Jack Talks Cars. I'm really excited about this one. I've somehow managed to blag the keys to this rather nice Mini Cooper S John Cooper Works GP Edition 1 for the weekend. Now I've never driven one of these, so this should be really good fun. Welcome then to the Mini Cooper GP. This is a rather special car in my eyes. You see, this is more than just a tarted up Max Power-esque style Mini. No, this car wears a badge that's full of history and heritage. You see, this is a modern day interpretation of the original 1960s Mini John Cooper Works. And to truly understand what the car's about, we need to take a brief history lesson. So the year was 1961, and a bloke called John Cooper just got his hands on his first Mini. He took the engine, fitted it with a set of twin carburetors and bored it out. He then mated it to a sporty close ratio gearbox and slapped on a set of disc brakes for good measure. Fast forward to 1964, and Mini decided to take one of these cars rallying. The car was hugely successful at this, and notably took the win in the 1964 Monte Carlo Rally with Paddy Hopkirk behind the wheel. Fast forward to 2001, and BMW have now acquired the rights to the Mini brand, and they've set about cashing in on that now infamous Cooper name. They launched the Mini Cooper, Cooper S and even Cooper D branded cars. It wasn't until 2002 that Michael Cooper, John's son, founded the John Cooper Works company. This was a separate tuning outfit for the new Minis and had absolutely nothing to do with BMW. As a customer, if you handed over the keys to your new Mini Cooper S and just a meagre £3,600, you'd see the standard Mini Cooper S power increase from 180 brake horsepower to 210. And more importantly, you'd see it fitted with a smattering of those all-important JCW badges. It's now 2006, and Mini have just announced their next generation new Mini. With that announcement, the team at JCW decided to step up and develop the final run-out model, the most hardcore new Mini to date, the new Mini GP. This partnership would see the 1.6 litre supercharged engine retuned yet again. For the GP edition, it would produce 218 brake horsepower. That's only 8 brake horsepower more than what you'd find in the next level down, John Cooper Works. But out and out power was never the intention for this car. This car had a much bigger trick up its sleeve. The Mini GP's speciality was how light it was. The engineers who worked on the GP stripped over 45 kilograms of weight out of the car by removing most of the sound deadening, and then they went about binning the rear seats. Well, rear seats in a 3-door Mini, they weren't much use anyway. The final curb weight when they were done was just 1,090 kilograms. They then developed a unique aero kit which included that massive carbon fibre rear spoiler, some underbody panelling for improved aerodynamics, and then retuned the suspension yet again. The final piece of the puzzle was to fit a limited slip differential. You see, the Mini Cooper GP edition was more about giving driving enthusiasts the correct tool to tackle our country's B roads with. Only 2,000 of these cars were ever built, and the one we've got here is number 10. Now I personally think the car looks hard as nails. That thunder grey paint against the subtle red and silver detailing, those instantly recognisable 4-spoke alloys, and this decal package the car came with. It's almost as if the designers found a way to give the rather feminine Mini its first real dose of testosterone. There's absolutely no mistaking this car's intentions when you do see it eventually bearing down on you in your rear view mirror. To drive, the car feels properly old school, but in a good way. It has some of that magic that more modern superhatches have lost many years ago. You really have to work this car to get the absolute most out of it. In fact, it almost feels slow when you're not pushing on, but it's not. It's just a different kind of power delivery. It's a fast car. The car delivers its power far more linearly than when you compare it to more modern day turbocharged hot hatches. That supercharger will quite happily keep winding itself up and whirring away under the bonnet right the way up to the 7,000 RPM rev limit. It almost feels like a naturally aspirated engine, but on steroids. Honestly, it's like a go-kart. The car is really nimble on its toes too. You can tell that it really wants to just play in the bends. It doesn't offer the limpet-like levels of grip that today's more modern super hatches and hot hatches offer. But that's because it comes from a generation of cars where manufacturers weren't obsessed with bragging rights and just how fast their latest hot hatch could lap the Nürburgring. They were more interested in building a car that, as a customer, you could enjoy on your daily commute to work. And this offers just that. Now, whilst I've tried to be rather sensible on my test drive today because, well, it's foggy, it's cold, the roads are greasy, it's very, very wet out, and it's not my car, so I don't want to bin it, I can still feel through the bends that limited slip differential doing all of the work to try and drag me back through the corners. It really does a brilliant job of making sure that I don't squander any of that power, and it just drags me out the other side of all these turns. It's actually made me rethink a previous comment I made in my last video about not needing an LSD in my 130i. Having driven this car, I believe it's something that I probably want to do. Another thing I was very surprised to discover whilst driving the Mini GP is just how supple, for want of a better word, the ride quality actually is. I was expecting it to be backbreakingly harsh, but the reality is, it's probably no worse than my old Fiesta ST 180. Now, if you're used to driving a luxury car around, then yes, you will find it quite jarring. But remember, this is a hardcore, stripped out, road-going track car. It has absolutely no intention of being a long-distance cruiser. The other thing that's worth mentioning with this car is there's no switchable driving modes, there's no sports mode or comfort mode, it's just maximum attack all the time, and I absolutely love that. Sure, you could probably get the same driving experience by taking a standard Mini Cooper S, spending a few quid on some bolt-on mods, sticking some coilovers on it, remapping it. You could even go about binning the rear seats and some interior trim to save some weight. But what you wouldn't get is that feeling of driving something special, feeling like you own something that's really quite an exclusive car. The Mini Cooper GP takes impracticality to a new level. It adds in an element of imperfection with its old school driving style, and blends them together perfectly to create what I can only describe as the perfect driver's car.